Good point. Jordan, let's have you jump in on this idea of what you see as the pernicious danger of groupthink when it comes to ethnicity, when it comes to gender. Why do you think that's one of the primal sins, in your view, of quote, political correctness?
Well, I think it's one of the primal sins of identity politics players on the left and the right, just to be clear about that. Personally, since this has got personal at times, I'm no fan of the identitarian right. I think that anybody who plays a game, a conceptual game where group identity comes first and foremost, risks an exacerbation of tribalism. It doesn't matter whether it's on the left or the right. With regards to the idea of group rights, well, there's a fundamental, and this is something we've fallen into terribly in Canada, not least because we had to contend with the threat of Quebec separatism. But the idea of group rights is extraordinarily problematic because the obverse of the coin of individual rights is individual responsibilities. And you can hold an individual responsible, and an individual can be responsible. And so that's partly why individuals have rights. But groups, how do you hold a group responsible? I mean, the whole idea is it's not a good idea to hold a group responsible. First of all, it flies in the face of the idea of the sort of justice systems that we've laid out in the West that are essentially predicated first on the assumption of individual innocence, but also on the possibility of individual guilt, not group guilt. We saw what happened in the 20th century many, many times when the idea of group guilt was enabled to get a foothold, let's say, in the polity and in the justice system. It was absolutely catastrophic. And so, okay, fine, group rights. Well, how are you going to contend with the alternative to that, the opposite of that? Or where's the group responsibility? And how are you going to hold your groups responsible? Well, we don't have to talk about that because we're too concerned with rectifying historical injustices, hypothetical and otherwise. And that's certainly not to say that there weren't any shortage of absolutely catastrophic historical injustices. That's not the point.
This dude is like Aristotle. He's like some of the world's best thinkers that ever crossed or that ever walked on soil. He would sit and he would just speak and he seemed fair. He seemed fair. He's leaning toward one side more than the other. Most people are leaning toward one side more than the other, and that's just based off of their knowledge of a thing and their experiences. And that's the thing. Our knowledge and our experiences are always going to be different. Always going to be different. So we're always going to be leaning to one side more than the other. So the debate will always be there. But I just love the way that he's just so clear. Like, he speaks a thing and you understand it extremely clearly, and it's not combative. It's not combative, and that's what I love. Okay.
The point is how you view the situation at the most fundamental level. And group rights are an absolute catastrophe, in my opinion.
Come on, let's, Michelle, come in on that point.
The reason that Trump and Brexit in Britain and all kinds of nativists all over Europe are succeeding is not the triumph of the right, it's the catastrophic failure of the left. It's our fault. We absolutely... My point is not that I've turned to the right or anything like that, or that I'm nice and fluffy and want everybody to be decent. I'm saying, fuck political correctness. Resist. Fight. If you have a point of view...
This dude, he's making it a little spicy. Okay, let's go. He said, man, you're not about to blame the right, bruh. You're not to blame the right. The right is is doing what the right is doing right now because the left has messed up so much. Okay, I'm here for this conversation because just in case this is your very first time checking out this channel, I know absolutely nothing. Well, not absolutely nothing, but I don't like politics at all. The left, the right, the middle, I'm about what's right and what's wrong. That's it. That's it, and that's all. My wife, now she's poli-sci till she die. Like, she's the one that teach me about capitalism, socialism, communism. She teach me those things. So yeah, bless my baby. But at the end of the day, I'm loving these talks between these gentlemen who know exactly what they're talking about, and they can drive a point home. Okay, let's go.
To the right or anything like that, or that I'm nice and fluffy and want everybody to be decent. I'm saying fuck political correctness. Resist. Fight. If you have a point of view, fight it in the proper manner, using democracy as it should be, not channels of education, not language. You know, it's so silly.
But
There's a chess rule, you know. In chess, the best move to play in chess is not the best chess move, it's the move your opponent least wants you to play. At the moment, you're being recruiting sergeants for the right. By annoying and upsetting, and instead of fighting, either fighting or persuading. But political correctness is a middle course that simply doesn't work.
Well, first of all, you said be empirical. Now, empirical, as far as I know, the word means that which can be verified or falsified through the...
Okay, full disclosure, I never read a full novel until I hit the age 25, all right? Reason why the age 25 is because there was a black-owned bookstore called Caribou, and my wife thought it'd be a great job a great idea that on my 25th birthday if she bought me some books. Well, she bought me a couple of Michael Eric Dyson books. That's the gentleman that we're looking at right now. So I'm very aware. I'm very much aware of how he is and who he is. But as far as his political ideals and whatnot, I'm just now learning. Well, I will just now be learning it through this conversation right here.
Be empirical. Now, empirical, as far as I know, the word means that which can be verified or falsified through the senses.
Exactly.
So if we look at it in an objective way, the reality is that people don't have equal access to the means to articulate the very moment you're talking about.
I'm talking about the empirical results of this political attitude.
I understand that, but my point is simply this. I'm suggesting to you that people use the weapons at hand. Now, it was Abraham Joshua Heschel, the rabbi, who said, everybody's not guilty, but everybody's responsible. Right? That's a distinction there. Everybody clearly is not guilty. But what's interesting, look at the flip side. If you have benefited from 300 years of holding people in servitude, thinking that you did it all on your own, why can't these people work harder? Let me see, for 300 years, you ain't had no job. So the reality is, for 300 years, you hold people in the bands. You hold them in subordination. You refuse to give them rights. Then all of a sudden, you free them and say you're now individuals, not having the skills, not having the skills. I'm talking about America, first of all. I'm talking about the American society, first of all. I'm talking about the Northern Hemisphere. I'm talking about every society where enslavement has existed, but I'm speaking specifically of the repudiation of individual rights among people of color in America who were denied the opportunity to be individuals.
Bruh, let me tell you something. This comment section, I cannot wait to read my comments for this video because it's going to be on fire. I cannot wait.
Among people of color in America who were denied the opportunity to be individuals. So I obviously and ideally, and I think Michelle Goldberg does too, agree with the emphasis on individuals. What we're saying to you is that we have not been permitted to be individuals. We have not been permitted to exercise our individual autonomy and authority, and the refusal to do so, to recognize me as an individual, means when you roll up on me and I'm a 12-year-old boy in a park and you shoot first, in ways you do to black kids that you don't do to white kids, you are not treating that person as an individual. If we're living in a society where women are subject to aberrant forms of horrid, patriarchal, sexist, and misogynist behavior, you are not acknowledging the centrality of the individuality of women. You are treating them according to a group dynamic. And if we get beyond the ability of people on the right to understand the degree to which they have operated from the basis of benefit from group identity without having said, I'll end by saying this. The great American philosopher Beyonce Knowles said that it has been said that racism is so American that if you challenge racism, you look like you're challenging America. We are challenging inequality. We are challenging the refusal to see me as an individual. When we overcome that, have at it, we're all on equal plane.
Man, this is getting saucy. This is getting saucy, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to see what y'all got to say. Please fire off, fire off, fire off. But watch the whole thing, please, because Jordan Peterson is going to have something to say, and I know the other gentleman is saying what he's going. Like the other gentleman, I don't know him. I want to hear what Jordan Peterson has to say. This, oh man, oh, whoo, Lord, oh, you know, whoo, okay.
This is good. The pot is getting stirred here.
So I've got a couple of questions.
So let's your side's folks. I'm going to go to Jordan, then to you,
Let's
Michelle.
assume for a moment that I've benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's
a good
fine.
assumption.
They're laughing. They're laughing when he said that. They took that as a joke, but it's actually some truth to that. And y'all gonna say it's not true. White privilege ain't true. Stop believing that white privilege is true. God damn it! If we're racing and we're racing 100 yards, and y'all get to start at the 70-yard line, and then that gun goes off, and we're racing to that 100-yard line. Come on, guys. So be objective here.
Benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's
That's a good
fine.
assumption. That's
Yeah,
a good
well, that's
assumption.
what you would say. So, so let's say here. Let's get
getting
precise
saucy.
about this. Okay.
Was that very individual of you?
Let's get precise about this. Okay.
Let's get precise.
To what degree is my present level of attainment or achievement a consequence of my white privilege? And I don't mean sort of. I mean, do you mean 5%? Do you mean 15%? Do you mean 25%? Do you mean 75%?
Get him,
And
Peterson.
what do you propose I do about it? How about a tax? How about a tax that's like specialized for me so that I can account for my damn privilege,
You're
so that I
talking
can
great
stop
shit right
hearing
now.
about it? Now,
He's saying, how much can I pay you so I can stop hearing about it? Because at some point, y'all need to stop crying about being left behind and being enslaved and being all these things. Jordan Peterson, I'm hearing you 1,000%. I cannot wait to hear Mr. Dyson answer this. This is saucy. I've never seen a conversation between Jordan Peterson or anybody else where Jordan Peterson went this hard, this early. Like Jordan Peterson right now, he's like, no, hold on, we ready to fight because you said something, brother. You said something that's attacking me. And I believe that where I am right now is from me busting my ass, from me studying how hard I was studying, for me making sacrifices that I sacrificed.
let's get precise about one other thing, okay? We'll get precise about one other thing. Now-
Precise.
Yeah, precise, yes. And so if we can agree, and we haven't, that the left can go too far, which it clearly can, then how would my worthy opponents precisely define when the left that they stand for has gone too far? You didn't like equity, equality of outcome. I think that's a great marker. But if you have a better suggestion and won't sidestep the question, so let's figure out how I
Don't
can dispense
sidestep.
with my white privilege, and so that you can tell me when the left has gone too far, since they clearly can. And that's what this debate is about political correctness.
Let's go,
It's about the
Joe.
left going too far. And I think it's gone too far in many ways. And I'd like to figure out exactly how and when, so the reasonable left could make its ascendance again and we could quit all this nonsense.
Let's go. Hey, let's go, Jordan Peterson.
Do you mind,
Mike, I want to come to you on those, great Michelle, on Jordan's point about how does he, in a sense, get any.
Hold on. First of all, I don't know why they keep on cutting the woman off. She's like, I got to say, then they cut her hair. So that is not fair, man. I want to hear the lady speak too. Like, I'm sure she has some fire to say too. Jordan Peterson is going back at him. This is a good boxing match right here. Like when you see George Foreman fighting Muhammad Ali.
Great Michelle, on Jordan's point about how does he, in a sense, get an equal voice in this debate back if it is implied that his participation brings with it this baggage of white privilege that doesn't allow him to see clearly the issues that are before us.
But that is to be complicit in the very problem itself terminologically. You're beginning at a point that's already productive and controversial. You're saying, how can he get his equality back? Who are you talking about? Jordan Peterson, trending #1 on Twitter? Jordan Peterson
Most
with
of
an
that's
international,
insults, by the way.
international bestseller? I want him to tweet something out about me in my book. Jordan Peterson, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Why the rage, bruh? You're doing well, but you're a mean, mad white man, and you're gonna get us right.
He is, okay, Michael Eric Dyson is purposefully, oh my God, don't do that to Jordan Peterson, bro. Don't make him upset, man, because Jordan Peterson is a nice guy and you're trying to piss him off. And you're doing a hell of a good job because Jordan's like, look, brother, you don't want this. You don't want this. Oh my God, this is good.
I have never seen so much wine and snowflaking. There's enough wine in here to start a vineyard. And what I'm saying to you empirically and precisely, when you ask the question about white privilege, the fact that you ask it in the way you did, dismissive, pseudoscientific, non-empirical, and without justification, the truth is that white privilege doesn't act according to quantifiable segments. It's about the degree to which we are willing as a society to grapple with the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality upon which it's based. Number two, what's interesting to me, you're talking about not having a collective identity. What do you call a nation? Are you Canadian? Are you Canadian by yourself? Are you an individual? Or are you part of a group? When America formed its union, it did so in opposition to another group. So the reality is that those who are part of group identities in politics deny the legitimacy and validity of those groups and the fact that they have been created thusly, and then have resentment against others. All I'm asking for is the opportunity. The quotation you talk about, the difference between equality of outcome and equality of opportunity, that's a staid and retried argument, hackneyed phrase derived from the halcyon days of the debate over affirmative action. Are you looking for outcomes that can be determined equally, or are you looking for opportunity? If you free a person after a whole long time of oppression and say now you are free to survive, if you have no skills, if you have no quantifiable means of existence, what you have done is liberated them into oppression. And all I'm suggesting to you, Lyndon Baines Johnson, one of our great presidents, said, if you start a man in a race 100 years behind, it is awfully difficult to catch up. So I don't think Jordan Peterson is suffering from anything except an exaggerated sense of entitlement and resentment, and his own privilege is invisible to him, and it's manifest with lethal intensity and ferocity right here on stage.
Ooh! Oh my God. Ooh. Oh man, Jordan Peterson is about to whoop your ass, Mike. Oh, he's about to whoop your ass. I cannot wait. Please let Jordan respond. God dang it. Please let Jordan respond. Oh my God. Dude, this is a good fight. This is a good fight. This is the type of debates I want to see. Jordan Peterson is looking like he's looking cool as a fan. He's like, okay, you done? Are you done, bruh? Oh, whew, I'm ready. Michael, let me tell you, Michael Eric Dyson, brother, you are coming with the heat. But Jordan Peterson is about to dodge that like this. He's going, and then hit you in the ribs. Watch this.
Jordan, I'm going to have to let you respond to that if you live.
Let's go, Jordan.
Well, what I derive from that series of rebuttals, let's say, is twofold. The first is that saying that the radical left goes too far when they engage in violence is not a sufficient response by any stretch of the imagination, because there are sets of ideas in radical leftist thinking that led to the catastrophes of the 20th century, and that was at the level of idea, not at the level of violent action. It's a very straightforward thing to say you're against violence. It's like being against poverty. It's like, you know, generically speaking, decent people are against poverty and violence. It doesn't address the issue in the least. And with regards to my privilege or lack thereof, I mean, I'm not making the case that I haven't had advantages in my life and disadvantages in my life like most people. You don't know anything about my background or where I came from, and it doesn't matter to you because fundamentally I'm a mean white man. That's a hell of a thing to say in a debate.
Okay, Jordan Peterson, I thought that was whack. People clapped, but I didn't think that was good. I think what you did was you touched the hearts of people to let them know, hey, you're trying to bully me. But when he made his first statement, you did get a little angry, bro, very quickly. As I pointed out, he went from 0 to 100 really quick. So he was not attacking him based off of something that he was just guessing. He was saying, based off of the way that you spoke to me after my first retort, you got a bit angry. You felt touched that I said something about you being entitled. Not you, but he was talking about white men altogether. And Jordan Peterson did give him some good blows, which I pointed out. And then when he responded, he was like, whoa, you got a bit angry. Okay, I'm here for it. And then he called you an angry guy because of that. So don't use that to try to get to the hearts of the people and make them feel like you're being bullied. You are not. You are extremely articulate. You are on point. You're smooth as hell. And this right here is a part of your debate. You're just like, okay, I'm going to do the opposite of what he's doing. He's turned up. I'm going to turn down. I know what you're doing, brother. I know what you're doing, brother. Okay, get him, Jordan. Get him.
Let me just say.
Very, very brief, because I want to move on to men and women. A good topic next.
The mean, mad white comment was not predicated upon my historical excavation of your past. It's based upon the evident vitriol with which you speak and the denial of a sense of equanimity among combatants in an argument. So I'm...
God damn, Michael Eric Dyson, how many big words you going to use, bro? I got to pull out a dictionary to be able to follow what you're saying. I mean, I know you're saying something. I think some of the words you're probably making up. Some of the words you're making up, ain't it? Some of the words you're making up.
Denial of a sense of equanimity among combatants in an argument. So I'm saying again, you're a mean, mad white man, and the viciousness is evident.
Okay.
Hold on, Jordan Peterson ain't got nothing else? Come on, bruh. Give Jordan Peterson the mic again. Please. This cannot be the last time that Jordan Peterson speak. I need to hear him go at this man.
Let's reset. Change the decks here. Let's bring Jordan in on this, because you've written and commented about it a lot. But Stephen, thank you for having me ready.
Well, I think I'm going to point out two things again. The first is that my question about when the left goes too far still hasn't been answered. And then the second thing I'm going to point out is that, you know, it's conceivable that I am a mean man. You know, I mean, maybe I'm meaner than some people and not as mean as others. I think that's probably more the case. But I would say the fact that race got dragged into that particular comment is a better exemplar of what the hell I think is wrong with the politically correct left than anything else that could have possibly happened.
Imagine the hurt, the anxiety, the insult that you might genuinely feel, according to what I felt was an appropriate comment of description at the moment of its expression. But imagine now those hurt feelings and...
Not hurt.
Okay, you feel great. You feel great about it.
That's really different. I'm not a victim. I'm not hurt. I'm appalled.
You're not hurt. Okay, you wouldn't be a victim. So what's interesting is that whatever non-traditional feelings of empathy you endure at this particular point...
Listen, Jordan, man, you need to stop being so nice to this guy, man. Please, please. I need to see Jordan. Come on, Jordan. With a real Jordan Peterson, please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up. With a real Jordan Peterson, please stand up.
Non-traditional feelings of empathy you endure at this particular point. The point is, imagine then the horrors that so many others have had to put up with for so long when they are refused to acknowledge their humanity. Now, I take your point seriously.
So your group of
let me finish. Let me finish, though. Let me finish.
To me.
Let me finish, sir.
That figures.
You're not my inquisitioner, okay? What I'm saying to you is that when you said you were upset that I added the element of race there, right? When I said mean, mad, white man, Well, what's interesting is that you may have felt that you were being ascribed a group identity to which you do not subscribe. You may have felt that you were being unfairly judged according to your particular race. You may have felt that your individual identity was being besmirched by my rather careless characterization of you, all of which qualifies for a legitimate, response to me, but also the point we've been trying to make about the refusal to see our individual existence as women, as people of color, as First Nation people, and the like. My point simply has been the reason I talked about race and that particular characterization, because there's a particular way in which I have.
Okay, are you going to answer the question about the left going too far? Because it seems like, and Eric Dyson, you're using a whole lot of words. You're doing a hell of a job to make sure that you're good and speak up for the people of color. But I have to say, he asked a question that still has not been answered. He asked a question that still has not been answered, and that points to why he's sitting there so patient and not going back and forth with you, because as he just brought up again, that question has not been answered. So if you, after your retort or within your retort, you do not answer his question, you have lost this conversation. So you need to answer the question, please, because I want to know the answer to the question. That way, if I'm ever asked it, I can be able to answer it in a way that's understood and based off of another scholar who said it, who answered that question. I can just blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Race and that particular characterization, because there's a particular way in which I have come to a city. I don't know if there are a lot of black people out here, not sure. But I constantly come to places and spaces that are not my natural habitat, other than intellectual engagement and the love and the fury of rhetorical engagement, yes. But I often go into hostile spaces where people will not vote in favor for my particular viewpoint, because I'm interested as an individual of breaking down barriers so that people can understand just how complicated it is. So what I'm saying to you is that I would invite you, in terms of the surrender of your privilege, to give you a specific response. Come with me to a Black Baptist church. Come with me to a historically black college. Come to me to an indigenous or First Nations community where we're able to engage in some of the lovely conversation, but also to listen and hear. And when I added race to that, I was talking about the historically evinced inability to acknowledge others' pains equally to the one that they are presently enduring. So, as a human being, I love you as my brother, but I stand by my comment.
Well, I've seen the sorts of things that you're talking about.
You didn't answer, man. You didn't answer. That's the thing I hate about debates. Like, people get their points. Like, you're getting your points out, and you're getting your applause and everything, but there's some people who want to see, want to have some sort of understanding, and understanding comes from listening and from answering questions, like asking questions and getting those answered, not from just constantly defending and constantly defending and defending and defending. I haven't got an answer from Jordan Peterson's question yet.
My brother, but I stand by my comment.
Well, I've seen the sorts of things that you're talking about. I happen to be an honorary member of an indigenous family, so don't tell me about what I should go see with regards to oppression. You don't know anything about me.
You asked me a question, I gave you a response.
Yeah. You gave me a generic response, a
It's not
generic
It's tailored
race-based
towards
response.
you. Jordan Peterson, I would like for you to come with me, Michael Eric Dyson, to a Black Baptist church. You been to one of those?
I would be happy to do that, by the way.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna hook you up.
Okay,
All right.
good. We'll make sure that happens.
So I'm not here to claim that there's no such thing as oppression, unfairness, brutality, discrimination, unfair use of power, all of those. Anyone with any sense knows that hierarchical structures tilt towards tyranny, and that we have to be constantly wakeful to ensure that all they are isn't power and tyranny. It's interesting to hear Foucault referred to. It's unfortunate, but it's interesting. You know, because Foucault, like his French intellectual confreres, essentially believed that the only basis upon which hierarchies were established is power. And that's part of this pernicious politically correct doctrine that I've been speaking about. When a hierarchy becomes corrupt, then the only way to ascend it is to exercise power. That's essentially the definition of a tyranny. But that doesn't mean that the imperfect hierarchies that we have constructed in our relatively free countries, which at least tilt somewhat towards competence and ability, as evidenced by the staggering achievements of civilization that we've managed to produce, it doesn't mean that the appropriate way of diagnosing them is to assume without reservation unidimensionally that they're all about power, and as a consequence everyone who occupies any position within them is a tyrant or a tyrant in the making. And that is certainly the fundamental claim of someone like Foucault. And it's part and parcel of this, what would you call it, this ideological catastrophe that's political correctness. I'm not here to argue against progress. I'm not here to argue against equality of opportunity. Anyone with any sense understands that even if you're selfish, you're best served by allowing yourself access to the multiplicitous talents of everyone, and to discriminate against them for arbitrary reasons unrelated to their competences. It's abhorrent. That has nothing to do with the issue at hand. It isn't that good things haven't happened in the past and should continue to happen. That's not the point. The point is the point my compatriot Fry made, which is, well, we can agree on the catastrophe and we can agree on the historic inequity, but there's no way I'm going to agree that political correctness is the way to address any of that. And there's plenty of evidence to the contrary, some of which I would say was displayed quite clearly tonight.
Lord, all right. That was a battle, man. That was a battle royale right there, bro. That's all I'm gonna say, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. I wish it didn't get so to a point where they stopped listening to each other, that questions were actually being answered. You guys tell me what y'all thought about it in the comments below, and if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I am Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and hopefully inside of the Patreon as well. You have been amazing. Love you.